MaxBang. My name is Max, and I like to drink coffee. MaxBang is a half-hour hangout. I fucking love that so much. MaxBang is a half-hour hangout, so grab a cup of coffee and how's your mother? The idea of this is you sort of put it on, just sort of relax, and we build a little bit of a community. Today, we are drinking coffee, afternoon coffee, cup of coffee, afternoon delight. In my famous Ember mug here. This is the mug that Brittany got me for my birthday. It is heated. It keeps your coffee It keeps your coffee hot all day long. It's Bluetooth activated. It sounds incredibly bougie, and it is. But I absolutely love it. And it's one of those gifts where you think like, oh, God, do you really need that? But then when you have it, you're like, thank God I have this. It reminds me of when your car had automatic start. You could start your car from your keychain, from the warmth of your kitchen, dude. And I believe the reason being, at least where I was growing up, was for the winters, you turn the heat on in your car when you come home at night, you turn it off, you go in, whatever. You're drinking your coffee the next morning, you're waiting to heat up your car, and you just turn the car on and the car heats up. And it melts the snow, and the car warms up a little bit, and maybe even defrosts the windshield. God, this is such a throwback talking about winter and frost. I remember digging out my driveway when I lived in Boston and it snowed. You would have to you'd have to shovel the snow out of your either your driveway or the parking spot on your street or whatever, depending on where you lived. Some people, depending on where you lived in Boston, in sort of dense or urban areas, a parking spot was somewhat of a luxury. I suppose that's anywhere. But if you parked in the street, you would have to shovel out a spot. And then when you left for the day, some places you'd put a trash can or a folding chair or whatever, just a placeholder, which meant I shoveled out this parking spot. It is now mine, at least for today or tomorrow, or as long as this snowstorm lasts. Now, was that always right? No. Was it fair? No. If someone took your spot, would you put a brick through their window? Sometimes. I didn't. I was too much of a wuss. I remember though one time I was out shoveling snow, shoveling my parking spot out, and I looked over and another guy was shoveling his parking spot out at the same time. And I was like, winter in New England, am I right? Ha ha ha, can't beat it. You can beat it, for the record. The way you beat winter in New England is you don't deal with winter in New England. Anyway, so we're shoveling out my spot. I go to drive to work. I come back and the spot's taken with his fucking car. Now, this is bad. You're not supposed to take someone else's spot. One. Number B, his car, he had his fucking tiny little Volkswagen Beetle Bug, whatever the hell that car is. It's a tiny car. So his spot theoretically was open, which is even stupider. Like, don't take my spot if your spot's open. But I mean, who knows what happened, obviously. But I couldn't take his spot because it was fucking tiny. So I had to drive around the corner, like around the block for another 20 minutes and like walk. It sucked. It was really fucking annoying. And there was nothing I could do until I moved out. When I moved out of that apartment, we had to, when you move, typically you end up throwing out a lot of stuff, which is good. You should throw out a lot of stuff. You shouldn't be a hoarder. But what I did was I took every single bag of trash. This was like a right out of college apartment. 3 dudes living in what was ostensibly a frat house. We played beer pong every night. There was just dudes everywhere. You know, we barely had a working kitchen. It was a fucking ridiculous situation. It was great. I loved it. But when we were moving out, I took every bag of trash and I was bringing it down to the street. I forget if we had a dumpster or we were just leaving it there because then the following day was gonna get picked up. But instead of placing the trash where I was supposed to place it, I surrounded his entire car with trash bags. This is like the fucking bitchiest shit I've ever done in my life. I very carefully put a bag around every square inch of his stupid fucking Volkswagen Beetle, and I knew the car because that was the car that took my parking spot. And I put bags like under his bumper and under his wheels, and like I piled up a bunch of them right in front of his door, and like it was pretty passive aggressive. But if I knew him personally, I would have happily been very aggressive. So I didn't feel bad at all. And also at the end of the day, fuck that guy. Like, don't fucking take my parking spot, dude. I fucking spent 2 hours breaking my goddamn back, shoveling out that friggin' ice and frost and snow and all that bullshit. Like, anyway, fuck him. That is winter in Boston for you. It brings out just the best in people. Today we are drinking Barrio Queen Mexican Chiapas. Turns out Barrio Queen is the brand name, and Mexican Chiapas, I think, is the type of coffee. Although what type is it, I don't know. All I know is it's very good. Our neighbor gave it to us. She has one of those, what is it called? The K-cups or the cups or the pods or whatever. The the pods. You drop the thing in the thing, and pods, pods coffee. It's like an office coffee thing. So somebody gave her this bag of Barrio Queen full bean coffee beans, and she bequeathed it to us. Very nice. It's very nice to have a grinder for your coffee. I never meant to be, and I have no idea how this happened, because I drink black coffee. I don't fucking go super fancy on my shit. But I now have an espresso machine, a bean grinder, and a French press coffee maker. So I'm well on my way, if not already fully at coffee snob status. And I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I still don't really think I have a very sophisticated palate, but I know what I like and I know what I don't like. My mom asked me once why I drink black coffee, and I actually know the reason. It's a very specific reason. The reason, the way you get a taste for black coffee is you forget to buy milk and sugar for a year, and then you have an office job where you got to wake up in the morning and you have need caffeine, and so you just fucking pound black coffee, and before you know it, you got a real taste for it. This week I heard a very interesting talk on change, and I'd like to pass that along to you guys, what I heard about. The woman was talking about change and how people normally fear change the most, but in reality, the world around us and the world inside of us is in a constant change. Let me explain. She said that people fear change because they don't want to lose what they have, and they want to feel some sort of stability and ease and at least know what's going on. So anytime something changes, they really, really get scared of that, and it's, it freaks them out and puts everybody off balance. That being said, every single thing you're doing is changing every day. Your fucking street the trees on your street are getting older. The kid on your block isn't getting any younger. You know what I mean? You're progressing in your projects, even if you have, like we were talking about last week, sort of submarine plugging a hole, putting out fires, whatever you want to call it, that type of job. Like, things are still moving forward. There's nothing you can do to stop that change. And so if the faster you learn to sort of accept that feeling, what she said was, she pointed out the idea that you're going to die, which I think got a little morbid for my tastes, but it helped with the point. No one ever got out of dying, where everyone's going to die. We don't know when, we don't know how, but the faster you sort of make peace with that, the better I don't know, aligned, or the better, more at ease you'll be. The other example that she gave, which I thought was even more interesting, was your idea of, I, as a person, don't feel like I've changed at all. I still feel like me. I'm sure you still feel like you. And for the most part, it doesn't feel like we're drastically changing. But, I mean, I have a fucking huge beard. I didn't have that all my life. You know what I mean? I'm way taller than I was in the first grade. You know, like your entire body, your body isn't staying the same. Your body is in a constant change of flux, of change, of recycling, renewing, whatever. Your cells are dying and being replaced by new cells. I mean, it's that theory that you're the same is not true. In fact, it's completely false. You are constantly changing. So the more you get used to change, the better. Now, the one thing, so that's great. Philosophically, fantastic. Well, it's a fucking mindfuck. Let's smoke some weed and talk about it, bro. When I hear these talks, or when I do any sort of mindfulness or meditation or anything like that, I always sort of think like, okay, well, how the fuck does that help me day to day? Like, that's great that we're talking about some deep shit, and like, I'm happy to, pound beers and talk about life, but how does that help me during the day? And the way it helps is this: if you know that this is the last time you're going to do something, if you're moving away from your apartment and you're going to your favorite coffee shop for the last time, or if your brother is going to college and you're not going to see him for a couple of years or whatever, or if you're moving to another country and you're eating dinner with your parents for the last time, you really, really appreciate that last dinner, and you appreciate all the little things that go into that. And more so, you're really, really present in that moment. That's the feeling. It's another way of saying you appreciate all the little things about what's happening that time. You're really quite present. And what's fun about that is it gives you the idea like, oh, like I not only can do this, it's pretty obvious how to do it. And I know I have an experience, like I know that feeling of, this is the last time I'm going to my favorite sandwich place in my college town. I'm going to appreciate every little bit. I'm going to order my favorite sandwich. I'm going to, really sort of be present, live in the moment. And so that's like an interesting way of doing it practically. So if you're looking for a keystone or a touchstone or whatever the hell you call it, how to be more present, that's a good idea. Imagine it's the last time you're being there. How would you act that way? Obviously don't, put all your money on red at the casino or anything, but that's a way, slightly an introductory way to be present in the moment. Very fun. A couple of updates on my life. I did the first day of the writing class last week. I actually do the writing course right after I record these MaxBang, so I'm about a week behind. I wrote a sketch about eating cookies, and I thought I was pretty pleased with it. This week I wrote one about a guy who finds a genie in a lamp. So I wanted to ask you guys, what would be your number one wish if you found a genie in a lamp and he's like, poof, I'll grant you 3 wishes? Question number 1, what would be your wish? Question number 2, what would be a very funny way to... I went down a real rabbit hole of the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw is a different version of that genie granting wishes fable. The genie granting wishes fable is about it's pretty different. It's about there's 3 types of people. There's human beings, I forget the second one, and then there's another type of beings called jinns. I think it's Gin or Jin, and they are smokeless fire people, and they are trapped in those everyday objects like a lamp or a vase, and then they grant wishes. The monkey's paw is a slightly different take on that, which is it's a cursed wish, meaning you get to make a wish on a monkey. You find a monkey's paw and it's got its hands up like this, and you make a wish on it, and like a finger goes down, meaning you only went from 5 wishes to 4 wishes or whatever. But your wish is also granted in like a horrible Twilight Zone, Black Mirror style solution. So, for example, if I wished to be crazy famous, then I would be famous, but it would be for like being a serial killer, or, you know, if I wish to be, if I wish to never age, I would never age, but I would be the age of a baby. Or like if I wish to be able to jump really high, I would jump really high, but he'd turn me into a frog, or some like weird shit like that. So that was a really fun little rabbit hole to go down the monkey's paw. But I guess my question to you is, what would you wish for? And what would you wish for? How would you phrase your wish to hopefully avoid any sort of bad monkey's paw repercussions? That's always a fun one. Also, I don't know, I wanted to give you an update on this because I'm so insanely proud of it. And I don't want to jinx anything, but I think it's going to go through well. I'm not only a hair model, it's possible I will be a hand model. And that's the dream, the George Costanza dream, which is also funny because I think my hands are pretty fucking hideous. I have scars all over them. I have calluses from pull-ups and back when I used to work out. I have a nice scar on the back of my hand here. I have two here. These are from when I hit my friend in the teeth with my knuckles accidentally. This is from a burn. I talked about this in a video a long time ago, but I lit a piece of floss, a waxed piece of floss on fire, and it like burnt, and I held it straight up so it wouldn't burn me. And as I was lighting it, it burned up, plopped off, burned itself off the string straight up, landed on the back of my hand, burned a nice little circle right in the back of my hand. Anyway, long story long, I thought my hands were pretty hideous. But it looks like I might be a hand model, so shout out to me being hand beautiful. Got a couple of questions from last week. First of all, Marsha, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming back. I ended up commenting on a bunch of comments from an old MaxBang videos. My last, not this particular round, but the last round, so many people commented like, I'm really happy these are back. I'm some sub to the channel. I love this type of video, blah, blah, blah. And then when I put out my last video or 2 videos ago, it went from like 500 views to literally 50 back up to 200, you know? So I really do think that if you want to be watching these videos, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. I don't think YouTube sends out a notification every time, even if you subscribe to a channel. And I think even if you have the bell going on, it does like a percentage of that. So for example, if you had 100 subscribers, and you put out a new video, maybe 5 to 10 of them would get notified. If they had the bell, maybe 15 to 20 of them. You know what I mean? It's very weird. And YouTube is constantly changing its shit. So if you want to support the channel, leave a comment on the video, thumbs up all these videos, and then as soon as you hear or see the notification, go straight to the video and check it out. But moving forward, like I said, it's going to go up at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I think that's the plan moving forward. And because it's a nice like unwind to the weekend for me, hopefully for you guys as well. But also, if you have a routine, Sunday night you do your laundry, maybe throw this video on, let me know what the routine is, because that's really helpful. And I think that's something that really is nice in a lot of ways to have sort of those keystone, touchstone. Why do I say that twice? I haven't said that in 5 years. Ridiculous. Those activities that you place your life, you schedule your shit around, even if it's really stupid, like working out. If you say I'm going to work out every day at 8, and then you sort of pop in the rest of the blocks around that, a lot of people say that helps them with their overall scheduling, their overall productivity, blah blah blah. Just because having things set in stone tends to help your schedule. Jen Russell, I work in real estate. My main gripe is when I have to deal with renter drama. Glad I'm not the only one. It was bizarre. My old job, I was just talking to somebody about this today. My old job was very fun, but very weird. And to be a 19-year-old kid telling grown doctors and lawyer tenants in a building like how to be polite people and like get along, bananas. Let's see, should I do a weird... There's always like... Every time I think I'm out of weird landlord stories, there's another one. I remember one year we had this building in Cambridge, actually in Harvard Square. Beautiful building. Chauncey Street. And we had a ton of the tenants. I think it was a rental property, but it was really, really fancy. That's right. It was rentals because we had a good amount of our tenants were Harvard students of the Harvard Law School. And my one year, I forget what happened, but a friend of mine was attending that school. This is the year before. And he said that in his law school, when your first year, one of the courses was talking about negotiation. And they said, this is how you negotiate. Like, a lot of law is talking with someone, figuring out what they want and what you want and how that lines up or doesn't. I think that's a lot of life. But he said that in the class, not only did they go over how to negotiate shit, but a loose assignment was the professor told him to now go out and negotiate something in your life. And far and away, the easiest or the first thing that pops into most people's minds is negotiating their rent. So one fucking fall semester, 30% of the tenants in this one building who are all law students suddenly call me and they're like, hey, I need to renegotiate my rent. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Who is this? And then I remembered what my buddy said, and I realized that it wasn't them really having a problem with what was going on. It was them just getting a bee in their bonnet that they wanted to negotiate about something. My personal negotiation tip: 1, never split the difference. Ask for just a little bit more. 2, deal with that sort of rude, awkward silence. Just be comfortable saying nothing, because it's weird, but saying nothing actually helps a lot, says a lot. Wow, it's getting fucking deep. And 3, when someone says anything, I remember I was driving. My dad used to have these books on tape, cassette tape, humble brag. And so we would drive and we would listen to these tapes because he had to negotiate something with his job when I was a young warthog. When he was a young warthog. God, I got to work on that note. I'm not hitting it. I'm up here and you're down here. And I'm up here and you're down here. Anyway, this guy, when he's talking, he goes, if someone asks you for $20, you say, $20? That's a lot of money. And then the next thing they'll say is all right, well, maybe not 20, but how about 15? And so it was, does it work? I don't know. Is it funny? Yes. And do I say it to my dad every single time any number is thrown around regarding anything at all? 16 people are going to your birthday party. 16 people. That's a lot of people. Why don't you set the dinner table? Here's 9 plates. 9 plates? That's a lot of plates. It's just, it's a knee-jerk thing, but it's fun. But it does work. But anyway, yeah. So one year I had to negotiate with fucking 40 Harvard law students in a row. And, that's the other thing is that no matter, and then this isn't really a negotiation tip. This is a general tip for anything in the world. No matter what it is, get your repetitions in, because the first time you suck at it. The second time you suck a little bit less. The 57th time you do it, you're usually pretty fucking good. So that poor 57th tenant, he got fleeced. And then the next year, I knew it was going to happen. And so the fall semester starts in September, October. In August, I sent out a thing that was I know it's early in your lease, but we just want to offer you a lease extension that's ironclad, and then you won't have to worry about finding a new place next year or whatever. And so they were locked into their new thing in August. And so then when September rolled around, none of them wanted to negotiate because they literally just signed a thing that said I'm agreeing to this new thing and I'm not in the mood to change. And it was great. Very proud of myself for that one. And then this last measure, this was kind of an interesting one. And I don't really want to brag, but I do feel the need to share my incredible ability here. How to fall asleep. Not only now, to be fair, I have an unnatural talent. I'm exceptional at falling asleep. Very good. I'm not quite as good as some of my friends and some of my family. My brother is amazing, but I'm pretty fucking good. And not only do I have a natural talent to fall asleep, I have forced myself to fall asleep in a couple of situations where it's very difficult. One time, for example, in college, I wrestled in college, and so Saturday mornings we would have to get up super early because we would have matches, which meant Friday night I had to go to bed super early as well. But my entire dorm was partying and like blasting music, and it's a dorm, so it's fucking loud anyway. And so I had to figure out a way to fall asleep, essentially in a loud, bright room surrounded by people. Another time I remember I was on a trip, and I was like really kind of stressed out because it was sort of a long story, but the crux of it is it was a stressful, sort of nerve-wracking. It could have gone really poorly. It didn't. The trip ended up being tremendous. But that first night I was like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? I was with a bunch of people I didn't know. We were going to do like a really sort of aggressive travel schedule. Like, it was crazy. And I was just really, really stressed out that first night, sort of when we landed at our first destination. And I remember thinking, okay, you're freaking out. Fair. If you could just fall asleep, this will be like a lot easier to deal with tomorrow. Then all you have to worry about is breakfast. And then after breakfast, all you have to worry about is like taking a shower. You know what I mean? So that was how I dealt with that stress. Now, how do you fall asleep? In my opinion, this is the best and most, there's a couple of things I like to do. One, I like to plan out exactly what I'm doing tomorrow, minute by minute, step by step. Not like get up and get ready and go. Wake up, stand up, stretch, put some underwear on, turn not even make coffee, turn the coffee maker on, grind the bean, you know what I mean? That type of minutia really helps me sort of focus, calm my brain down, let it get sleepy. That's number one. Number two, and actually this is probably my major one, count backwards from 99, but very, very, very painstakingly make sure that if you ever catch yourself thinking about anything else at all, you go back to 99. What's the lowest I've gotten? Like 78, because I always think of something else. 99, 98. Where's my wallet? Fuck. Okay. 99, 98. Man, you know who was really hot in the third grade? Fucking Sarah Everts. Sorry, like that type of stuff. That's how my brain works, at least a little bit. So you have to be very strict with yourself, but that is my number one way to do it. And a third one that I really sort of like as well is and this is really personal, I've never told anybody this, so keep it between us. I envision myself turning into the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four, which means I look at my hand and my hand lights on fire, and then the fire sort of travels all around my body like that, and then I'm on fire, and then I sort of float outside, and then I envision myself flying up in the air and then just sort of flying over the city slowly, but in control, and my own body is flying around, and I see myself flying down the street, flying over the beach or whatever. Like, it's a very sort of bizarre thing, but I've definitely gotten myself used to it, and I find that's very soothing for me. Now, one sort of bonus note is a friend of mine. He told me that when he was in law school, he would study all fucking day long, and then at night he would have trouble falling asleep because his brain is just go, and I think that exercise generally helps your day, or generally helps you calm down at the end of the day. But if your brain's been going all day, that's just as bad as being like super amped up. So he said, a couple of times he would chug a beer so he could just feel his brain sort of slow down. Now, am I suggesting you chug a beer every night as like a Betstagi? No, obviously not. But I am suggesting that your brain can be so amped up from doing sort of a lot of your brain can be like working pretty hard all day long, that you might need to figure out something to make yourself chill out a little bit. Is it milk? Maybe. Is it like not looking at your phone for an hour before bed? Maybe. But you need to figure out something. Or I should say, it's possible that you need to take something that'll allow your brain to chill out a little bit. But how to fall asleep? I mean, I'm very lucky that I feel confident in my sleeping abilities. I'm also lucky that I can get into bed and I feel like I'm asleep pretty close after that. I know a lot of times I get into bed with Brittany. We'll get into bed at midnight and then she'll tell me the next day she couldn't fall asleep till like 3 or 4 in the morning. Now, granted, how the fuck does she know it's 3 or 4 in the morning? I have no idea, because she shouldn't really be looking at her phone. She should be closing her eyes and trying to sleep. But those are my tips on falling asleep. Light, I'm very sensitive to light, so I definitely would suggest a mask. I used to take a t-shirt. If you take one bottom right corner and the top left corner and just whip it around like that, it makes a pretty good blindfold. It's also good for sex. But if you need light or need sound, I don't really mind sound, but if you need sound, get those noise canceling headphones. Figure out what you need to be able to sleep and then make it happen. And also, don't let yourself give up. If I give up because I'm bored from counting 99, 98 and I pick up my phone again, then yeah, I'll be up for another 2 hours. But the 99 down to 1, I've never gotten to 1, obviously. Because if you're just very strict with it, then you won't get down to 1. It's almost completely impossible. Or you're fucking Yoda or fucking Buddha or whatever. But so good luck sleeping. Let me know a victory from your week this week that you're especially proud of. If you want to try this Mexican Chiapas coffee, let me know. It's called Barrio Queen. But other than that, keep banging.